Hello. We've just had the most ridiculous experience. I don't know, probably almost all of you or some of you listening have done your radio telephone course, used a radio, VHF, know that when something goes wrong you call Mayday. For us, we always wondered what it would be like to actually hear a Mayday. How would you respond? Do you actually go through every single step that you're taught to go through? And anyway, to cut it short, yesterday we were sailing back across St. Vincent Channel and we left not long after the 60-foot monohull. We were sort of following them, and Kat and I were doing our own thing, not really thinking, and then we looked over and I said to Kat, I swear that boat is way too close to the rocks. Like, they were sailing, they had all their sails up, and I was like, there's no anchorage where they're heading, I don't know what's going on. And so and then they started taking their head sail down, and then their main, and then Kate was like, I think we should get the binos out.
Yeah. I was like, nah, they'll be right. They've probably got like a secret beach that they like are going to. Anyway, Dan gets the binos out and have a look, and at the same time here's a Mayday over the VHF.
Yeah. I walked downstairs, I was just like freaked out. It was just like, I was just thinking like, what are these people up to? And it was just like, Mayday, 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 this is... So, we're on the rocks, and they're like,
yeah,
we've been hauled and we're sinking, and I was just, it was crazy.
Okay guys, this is Dick. So we just got a Mayday and we're going up to this boat. They've just hit the rocks, so we'll keep you posted, but this is actually really scary for these guys. We're sailing as fast as we can. We've called the Coast Guard. So we're just going to see how they are. They're an old couple because we saw them this morning. It's not that rough, but we're trying our best. It's 24, 23 knots, and you can see them on the point up there. So we're trying to go as fast as we can to maybe, I don't know what we're going to do when we get there. So I think Dan's going to drop the tender and I'm going to drive the boat and just see what we can do.
We're on our way to you. You're staying about a mile away. We've relayed your message to the Coast Guard. They know you're here and they'll be sending a boat over. Just want to send out of here possibly. We're thinking. It's getting close.
Oh no.
We're on our way as fast as we can over.
Alright, feels like it's taking ages. We just dropped our head sail and we're just coming on to them soon. Dan's going to drop the tender. My heart is racing. Okay, so... Pardon? So update. We can see the Coast Guard coming, but we can't... It's just like so hard to get there fast, and the poor guys are on the rocks. Ugh. This is just like any sailor's worst nightmare. Coast Guard's coming up down the corner, and these guys are just out here on the rocks.
You can swim out of here. The current is too strong.
Just say do not skip off the boat.
We have a tender we can put in the water, and there is a motor boat.
Do not
Hopefully get there before us, so do not hop in until you absolutely have to, over.
Absolutely. By that means right on top of the rocks. On the driveway to the hill, crashing on the rocks.
Yeah, we see you.
On the starboard side, we can get off.
No,
But
no,
if
no.
we can get someone to pull us out fast,
No,
we have a line you can give us.
Okay.
Here from the dinghy on the starboard side, we can get off. I'm on dinghy, top there, it's on the deck.
It is right here, we have a dinghy to pick you up. Are you very strong swimmers or not?
We are old and we are not strong swimmers.
Well then please do not get in the water until we absolutely have to.
I'm over 80 years old, and my wife is also 70 years old.
Okay, stay on the boat.
Stay on the boat, we'll be there in a minute. Over.
Because it's on the starboard side.
Yes. It's fine.
Yes, we'll come on the starboard side. Okay,
So Dan's putting the tender in. I'm staying into wind. We're not getting too close because it's actually pretty rough inshore. The Coast Guard's right there, so that's kind of reassuring, I hope. But they're like elderly, so we just need to get to them as soon as we can because they can't swim. This is just such a horrible situation. There's Jan. That's actually really rough in that corner. Dan just flooring it with the tender. The Coast Guard's right there. See the Coast Guard's here, and then Dan's just gone to get them. So I'm just keeping the boat well away from the shore, but the Coast Guard's just chilling and Dan's gone in, so I have no idea what they're doing. I don't understand why the Coast Guard can go in closer. Dan's just dropping them off at the Coast Guard now. You can see the boat on the rocks. Such a beautiful boat. So they're safely with the Coast Guards now. Dan just got them back, they're coming back as soon as they go. See what the plan is. It's a beautiful boat. So this is so sad. So we're leaving the site, a beautiful boat on the rocks, like, and it's too dangerous to go get stuff off it. There's a massive tender. It's just too dangerous. But I'm driving back to just out here, coming along with. Crazy. Just reflecting back. So it was a half an hour drive, and I'm just here thinking, what just happened? So your whole life, especially for the yachties out there, know this. Your whole life is on this boat, it's your home, and in one moment, it's on the rocks, and everything is gone. It's pretty crazy. I'm feeling for these guys. Just seeing you leaving your boat, just like, yeah, just goodbye. Ugh, what a horrible feeling. I think they grabbed a few of their like personal stuff quickly before jumping on with Dan. But it just shows, hey, life is precious and a human person is so much more valuable than a dinghy or a sailing boat or a few knives and forks.
So I hope you've taken something from this video, but so what lessons we've learned, probably for me, number one is that when you're out sailing, no one's going to be around for you fast. We were in a situation where we were there, like perfect time, perfect place, and if it wasn't the case, this is when calling a VHF Mayday is super important. So for example, the guy called the Mayday and didn't say where he was.
Why didn't he say where he was? This is not dig at him. He did everything in his means, but when you're in that situation, like
stressed out.
You're beside yourself. You've got your wife on board. You've just had this accident, and you're trying to do a call to get yourself saved, and suddenly your mind is just blank.
Yeah. So carrying on from that, I think a major thing that we learn is like when you are doing a VHF call, just say where you are. Say how many people are on the boat, and like Mayday, Mayday, Mayday multiple times to get it clear across the channel, because we heard it a few times and we were so close to it, so we saw it happening, but if there was no one around, yeah, no one would have been coming for a while.
And even you'd think, you know, he runs Channel Watch or listening on Channel 16. Here, no Coast Guard, we had to actually get on our phone and phone the Coast Guard because there was no one sort of...
And like luckily we're like local around that we have a SIM card to be able to call locally.
Yeah.
So it's just things that we've learned.
So anyway, first, yeah, so I think the main thing is that beware that people, when they're thinking under these circumstances, quite often will lose cognitive you know, suddenly they can't think,
like a
they can't think, and
situation.
stress kicks in. And even for someone saving them, for us, we had to tell ourselves multiple times, slow down, do it properly. Like, don't cut corners, don't do that. So anyway, so probably lesson learnt 2 is, if you've got safety gear on the boat, get it out right now, check that it actually is going to unravel, check that it's going to work as it should do, because when we came onto this boat, we did the basic safety check. Yeah, okay, that's there, that works, that looks good. But what happened is, so we came in the rough, we ended up dropping the tender out in the rough. It was probably a metre and a half rolling swell with 15 knots of wind, so quite rough seas, had to drop the tender. Kate ended up motoring around in circles on the catamaran just to keep us here. Well, I went in rough seas on the tender. Now we equipped the boat with, we had 3 or 4 big orange life jackets. We took a life buoy. Now this is where it gets interesting. We took a life buoy on a roller. So my goal, I got to the boat, the whole boat was getting rocked with each wave on the rocks. It was just going and shaking, and the people on board were still on board, but I didn't want them to hop into the water and get on the windward side of the boat, because if a wave hit them, they could have gone under the boat. So it was very difficult to try and get them in a position where they could get off into water or into the boat without being on a dangerous side. So my first instinct was, I'll throw out the life buoy and on the line, and they can at least have something to hold, so that if they do end up in the water near the boat, I'll be able to drag them out. Now, you'd think that'd be simple. When I got the life buoy out of the ring, out of sort of its cover, and I went to throw it, all the line was tangled up inside the life buoy. So what I was essentially doing is dragging around this very short life buoy with waves breaking right next to this big boat. So I basically had to pack in that idea, pulled the life buoy in, and went back to just an old-fashioned tie a knot in a rope and throw it. But that's one thing, check your gear.
Safety for the people is number 1. And it's like every worst nightmare for a sailor, so losing a home and losing all your valuables and everything like that, but your life is so much more valuable than like a tender or like fishing rods, dive gear. So what we learned is that, you know, like in those crucial situations, just get off. Like you can't save everything. I don't know. But it was really hard to like drive away from this like perfect boat with all this nice gear, and we had no control because one, we were just thinking you have to stay safe in this situation. So even though there's probably people out there that would have jumped on and like grabbed stuff, it's not worth it.
Well, it was devastating because we'd seen this boat the day before and we thought that's a gorgeous boat. Like one day, hopefully, we'll win something like that. And then to see it there, and even to get the owners, luckily they had sort of the thought to just get their valuables, the most important things they need. We got them on the boat. They got their valuables off, but it was so tempting to keep just going back for more while this boat is rocking. And the problem is that a few more times the boat could have easily completely tipped on its side onto the rocks. And if you're inside in that at that time, then you're brown bread. So it's very hard to see the pain that obviously the owners have gone through. I mean, as an experienced sailor, you told me you've been sailing for 15 years, but these freak accidents do happen. So anyway, crazy experiences, something I kind of hoped I'd never have to witness, and I hope it's the only time I ever do witness that. Is rough in pretty much the worst case.
Yeah, it made you feel sick.
We still feel weird. It's so hectic.
So sad.
Anyway, on a more
happier note,
exciting note, we've now been here for 4 months.
Feels like a lifetime.
A great lifetime. We've had fun.
No.
It's been work. We've worked hard. We've had fun, and we've got plans. So we've spent the last few weeks, had a little bit of time off, a very minute amount of time off.
This is why we haven't put up videos.
And we've been planning, and so from here, in June, where are we heading, Kate?
classic, we're going back to London to get the van, to save the van from Malaga in Spain, and then we'll drive her up back to the UK, and from there where we're going then?
Going down to Indonesia. This took a lot of thought because we were right in the centre of so many awesome places, but we're going back to India. I think this is about round 10 in Indonesia.
We love Bali.
We love it. God, greatest place in the world almost. There's so many others, but we're going there. We're going to spend a couple of weeks just chilling, surfing, enjoying, feeling like a normal human for a bit. And then we're heading to probably my most exciting place in the world, somewhere I've looked up to my whole life. I think every surfer from 5 years old watches all the pros and where they're travelling and the best waves in the world. We're heading to the Mentawais and we're so pumped. It's like all of our work, everything at the moment is just going to be amazing. Hopefully everything goes to plan and we're sitting on these beaches looking at perfect waves.
Would love you guys to subscribe, so hit the button and give us a like.
That'd be
And
awesome.
it would be really cool just to follow our journey along, and we really want to get our own boat in the future, so see what happens.
Cheers guys.